Do you despise the thoughts of spending hours and hours of your valuable time sorting and organizing receipts, documents, and other records? After all, you're a truck driver, right? Not an office jockey. I'm going to give you some tips and advice to make your record keeping and organizing your records and documents just a little bit easier. There are 3 types of records you will need to keep as a truck driver: trip reports, expense receipts, and maintenance receipts. Those are the basic categories. First of all, trip reports. Let's tackle trip reports. Trip reports are necessary in order to turn into the company to be paid. The company sets up the methodology for trip pay. However, you'll just have to roll with the punches. However the company sets it up, you need to provide the information for them in order that they pay you correctly. However, after you've turned that paperwork in, basically you're left with no paper trail. I recommend, whether you're a company driver or an owner-operator, to keep your own set of records. There's a couple of different ways I would suggest to keep a set of your own records. One of them is an app. The app that I like to use is called Transfer. I believe it's $4. You can find it in the App Store. It's one that I've used for a while. It's really simple to use. It's basically just a scanner system, and then organize them in files however you'd like to organize them digitally. So that's one method of keeping your own set of copies, because other than that, you've turned these copies into the company and you're left with nothing, no backup. Another method to keep your own set of records is basically just keeping a notebook. It can be a 3-ring binder, coil binder, a coil notebook. I like to keep a notebook with such information as the start date, the end date of the trip, truck number if you're a company driver, trailer number, the total of miles of the trip. You can record your fuel receipts, drops, pickups, any out-of-pocket expenses, and so on. And the most important section that you should keep are notes. Anything unusual, anything out of the ordinary, any instructions any dispatcher or operations manager has given you along the way in your trip, record these. These could really come in handy, whether or not it's when you're being paid or in future. If someone can't find a trailer, you were given instructions specifically by a certain person. These notes have come in very handy for us. Set your notebook up with the information that you think you might need. The more information, the better, of course. Another method of keeping your trip reports for copies for yourself, particularly for owner-operators and independents, this is a good method, although company drivers would benefit from this method as well, is what I call the envelope system. Basically, brown 8.5 by 11 envelope. You can put all of the documents from your trip in the envelope and then have a trip summary on the envelope as well. Again, with basically the same information from your notebook. You could make a photocopy of the sheet from your notebook, but basically all information that you would like to track for your trip, such as your logs for the trip, fuel receipts, copies of repair receipts, anything else, any other expenses that you incurred on the trip. Keep them all in the envelope in one place. Then if you need to reference a trip for any reason, you've got a summary on the outside without digging through the envelope for the information that you need. I like to store the envelopes in a banker's box. You can find banker's boxes at Target store, Walmart, Staples stores, and they store nicely and neatly in a box. Label the boxes by year. Make sure you label them by year and the contents of the box. Store them in your basement, your garage, in an empty closet in the house. Expense receipts are another type of record that you will need to track and organize. I like to keep expense receipts, just do it really simple. Gather them in just a plain file folder, or this style of pouch that you can use to store them in, which is nice because they won't leak out or fall out, or you won't lose them, and you can secure them until such time that you sort them. So basically, you would gather your receipts together, then at the end of every day, every second day, or at the end of the week, you will group your receipts into categories. Your categories would basically be whatever is meaningful to you, such categories such as showers, tolls, parking receipts. So then you would sort your receipts and group, for example, all your shower receipts together. You clip them together and you put them back in your file folder. Then at the end of the month, when you've completed a month, you can take those receipts. When you've got all your shower receipts and you've got everything grouped together for the month, and then tally them. I've just done a few samples here. I like to staple them together after I've sorted them together with a running total and a nice sticky note on the top so you know what you've got in your package. Shower receipts, repair receipts. They can then be placed in your accordion file by the month, so you have a category for each month dropped into your slot, or in file folders by the month is another way to do it. You've got nice neat packages then that are ready for your tax return at the end of the year when you give them to the bookkeeper or give them to your accountant at the end of the year. And that way you're not handing your accountant a shoebox or a big cardboard box full of a mess of receipts that he can't make sense of. So you'll save yourself a lot of time, and you'll also save yourself money by organizing your receipts in this method. And then there are repair records for the owner-operator and the independent trucker. I recommend you do this in addition to keeping trip envelopes or keeping other records. I like to keep a set of maintenance and repair records, another set in a separate book or binder. Organize them however you like. Chronological makes the most sense. Then you have the information at your fingertips if you need it, warranty work, and also it's a great tool when you're selling or trading your truck. You've got a full and complete record of all the maintenance and all the repair done on your truck. Here are 5 easy tips to make the job of sorting receipts and organizing receipts just a little bit easier and make the time go by more quickly. Sort and organize your receipts regularly. I don't recommend leaving it until the end of the month and tackling it then. You can do that, but I have found personally from my experience, it just makes it so much more of a boring, tedious task that I do not look forward to. I like to do it regularly. I usually do it every other day just to keep on top of it and to make it go more smoothly. Also, when the trips are fresh in your mind and you've accumulated a receipt, you'll know exactly what that receipt is for. So when the info is fresh in your mind is the best time to do it. When you do acquire a receipt, at the time, write on what that receipt is for. Perhaps write the category on, or if you can't tell from the actual receipt what the purchase was for, write it on right then and there. It's important that the system works for you and makes sense to you. So make sure that it's workable for you. Remember to keep your records for a long time. Don't be anxious to get rid of them. Governments have requirements as to how long they want you to keep records. I believe keep mine beyond that. I stack them in banker's boxes, they're all labeled, and then once a year I take the oldest records and pitch them. You can do that and have a bonfire and get rid of them. So store them in a place where you've got some space, the basement, the garage, in a spare bedroom, in a closet, but do keep them for a long time, just in case. And the 5th tip that I'd like to share with you, I do this when I have tasks to do that I really don't particularly look forward to. I plug into some music. Get your favorite music on your phone. Perhaps you've got an iTunes account. Plug in, find an internet radio station, and make it an enjoyable task. It'll guarantee it'll make the time go by much more quickly, and you might even look forward to it. Why even bother keeping records, you say? Well, first of all, you're going to need them in order to get paid by your company. After all, that's why you're driving, to get paid. So first of all, you have an obligation to the trucking company. You also have an obligation to file that lovely tax return at the end of the year. So you'll need some backup, you'll need these expense receipts, documents, and records, so you actually have a legal obligation as well. And why bother organizing these records, you say? By organizing them, you're putting them in an order that will make sense to you, so you can find them when you need them, rather than scrambling through a big box of receipts. Months later will mean nothing to you. It will give you a huge migraine. So do take the time to organize them. It will pay off for you. Organized records are the only way to go when you're running a business. It's a really smart idea. You want to know exactly where to find what you're looking for and put your hands on it within minutes. And if you have some organizing and record keeping tips, I'd love to hear them. Leave them down in the comments section below. And that's it for today. I'll see you on the next one.